Welcome to the James Show, featuring James.
Don't be bitter on the podcast itself. Come on, this is your podcast.
That's what we only get celebrate for, isn't it?
I just
think celebrate that you're back.
I just think
concentrate on
this
that.
is how Wall Street works. I work really hard to make money so we can then fund.
Don't
James.
lie to the viewers and the listeners.
All right, I work really hard. See what I did there. And so James can make content. And I've won this one little thing called the Long Ball Street podcast, which I do with my mate Flav. It's a lot of fun. And James has been like this, just worming his way in until now. It doesn't need Flav, it doesn't need me to be on it, but you're here every week.
Well, one, you are on it. You're right in front of me right now.
Today, yeah.
Two, there's another way of spinning that.
Okay.
You could say you've had other things to do and I've helped out. And Flav has had other things that he's had to do. This week he has to do that. Again, looking to help out.
It's very defensive.
Two ways of spinning it.
Feels guilty.
But it is your podcast, Matt.
Thanks, mate.
That's fine. Who wrote the agenda today?
I think James wrote that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and actually we need to now do the intro. James.
Glorified guest.
Just do us a favour. Do the intro.
Do the what in what sense?
Just, read it.
Read it. Okay. So welcome to Long Ball Street podcast. Flav is not here this week, but there's four of us. Bumper edition.
Yeah.
Myself, as Matt's kindly introduced. Matt is here as well, which is great. We can talk about parenthood.
That's well. I don't know very much about it yet, but these two could probably tell us more.
Absolutely,
about that.
yeah. You can ask some questions as well. Paul and Chris from the Redmen TV. Loads to talk about. Big one being loyalty in football. Dimitri Payet and Costa in the news in a big way in terms of football. So, is there loyalty in football anymore? What is loyalty worth? Or is it just a business that we just need to abide by now as fans? Do fans have to show their loyalty in a stronger way? Chris had a viral video due to a passionate speech based on loyalty.
You can say rant.
Liverpool fans. I don't want to say
it wasn't
a rant.
Video.
It was a positive
sweary rant on the internet but this time it was about something good.
It's what he does.
Yeah. It's my niche.
It's a good niche. So we're going to talk about that as well, and I guess like the player power in terms of Liverpool, because there's some good examples there in terms of Suarez, Gerrard, and Torres are trying to get QPR barged in there somehow.
Obviously.
Holloway and Klopp, two of the greatest managers in football right now.
Oh, just quickly, how has it gone? Because I've not really been looking at QPR's results apart from I saw you beat Reading.
3 on the trot, mate.
Wins
in the league.
Shit.
Out of the FA Cup, of course.
So was it 3 in the wins on the run?
Huh?
Was the FA Cup in the game not in the middle of that?
Yeah, it doesn't count though, does it? Because it's FA Cup.
Definitely
we all know.
So have you got a chance of having a late assault on the playoffs?
Absolutely not. No chance. Don't worry about that. Yeah, you don't need to look down and see us there. Don't worry.
See that.
But yeah, what I have done is Holloway is known for his great quotes. Klopp's known for his great quotes. So I've got some quotes, and you've got to decide if you can guess who said which. So testing your knowledge on that. And I've also got another little game from my podcast, which is not this podcast because that's your podcast.
Just
Great Touch for a Big Lad, check it out. The Legend's Not Marked Right, where you will decide who's the greatest legend in Liverpool's history.
Okay.
Lots of and questions.
So obviously you guys have been on the podcast before, haven't you, a little while ago? But that was a beautiful thing, and it's changed since then because now it's actually on video as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Chris that you actually told me, didn't you, in no uncertain terms, it's inexcusable that this isn't a video. So we did all this for you, Jeff.
Yeah, so sorry everybody else here.
That's making him watch.
Yeah, apologies.
So I think this whole thing's going up on Long Ball Street on YouTube. So look, if you're listening to us on iTunes or SoundCloud or other audio means, make sure you go over and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I'm all over the SoundCloud thing. I've never really used SoundCloud before.
Okay.
And this is the podcast that I use SoundCloud.
You said you've been binging on it, didn't you?
Binging, literally.
Was that you been polite or
crack cocaine?
Okay. Were you being serious?
100%. Yeah, okay. I've listened to a number of them.
A number of them.
They've been good.
Favourite podcast? Just throw it out.
There was the one with you. Was it with your mum on? That was good.
Yeah, that was a good one.
There was the one where I think you made a big deal about James was never going to be on it, and then James was on it. Yeah. Even though he'd been on it before, I think. I've just got, it's like my nemesis at work is James. I like that. But I'll be honest. I like the camaraderie between James and Flav. If I'm perfectly honest.
Don't start that now. That's the last thing I need.
Seriously, mate. What's the matter with you? Now Flav's not here, which is sad.
It is sad. He'll be back next week, I'm sure.
Yeah, he will.
Because I'm not going through this again.
He will. Have you listened?
Yeah. Once. I enjoyed it. What did you think of the intro?
The
intro music.
Yeah, is there intro music?
There is intro music. I'm not stitching it up.
I don't know. I can't remember it. It was a
You've
while
never listened,
ago.
have
I
you?
listened to the Dewberry one.
I've watched every single one of your videos.
No, you haven't.
That's true.
No.
Make
You
a
know
lot
what?
of
I
videos.
absolutely loved the Dewberry video, the Dewberry podcast. I thought it was absolutely incredible.
All right, let's not sit here and wank Matt off for too long.
I need to be like that.
Because some big events have happened in your life, Matt. First, well, there's the hair and a dog.
Can we
as
just
well.
say
So can we
this
touch
is a
on both of
reason?
those?
This is a reason to watch the video. Listen to the podcast. Go and watch the video of this because
Yeah.
Matt has finally sorted his hair out, and we've been giving you stick for it. And I heard you say this on a previous podcast about how you're the kind of personality that if someone says something to you, you'll almost deliberately not do it. And I get that. I'm exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So I appreciated your situation. I should have not mentioned it at all. And you'd have maybe sorted it out sooner, but you're looking great, you're looking dapper, you're looking younger. Once we sort this shit out, and look, we're both in the same boat.
Yeah.
It could be back to the Matt that I once knew and loved.
Thank you. It's, I think that's nice.
How did that feel?
How did that feel?
No, the hair post.
Well, the thing is, right, is that when I've been around a few years, I've had a few haircuts in my time, and I've had a few,
seagulls.
and you have some bad ones, don't you? And when you're going from a hair that had ultimately got to down here to short, you want it to be right. And my guy, Jay, who...
You've got a guy?
I had a guy, a very nice Australian gay man called Jay, who's gone back to Australia now. And when he left, I was like, I don't know if I could trust anyone with this. I don't know if I can do that. And because I've been busy, moving house, running a business, kind of getting ready to have a child, big podcast, it's been... I didn't want to just go anywhere and just make that. So now I've kind of had a couple of weeks off. I managed to see a little place, go in there, have an haircut.
Did you interview him before he gave you a haircut?
Yeah.
What were the questions that
What
you
are
were
you
asking
likely
him?
to do? How many haircuts?
What are your intentions with my hair?
yeah, exactly. But no, I had it cut. It's cool.
Are you happy with it?
Ty's happy. Yeah, let's
Are
put it
you
that.
though?
Yeah, I mean it was a mess, but it was just like, I'll tell you what I'm not happy about, because I moved house ultimately because I was having a kid, but because I've got dogs, and every day I have to get up and walk the dogs, right? And you do that at night as well, so they can use the loo. And that meant I was dealing with a 23-hour day immediately, right? So I moved house so I could make it a 24-hour day again, and I've done that. But now I've got to do my fucking hair in the morning. I don't know, whereas before I could just do that and it was done. So now I'm down to a 23.5-hour day.
So you're saying long hair was a life hack that you developed for yourself?
Yeah, basically that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with that as well.
I miss my long hair.
Well,
to
you've
be
given,
honest.
to be fair,
See, there
I
you
do
go.
miss my
what
long
Matt's
hair.
done though is he's given us all back half an hour of our days of talking about how shit his hair looked. So there you go. You've lost half an hour, but we've all got half an hour back.
No problem.
What was the other? You've had a kid. That's it. You've had a kid as well. Forgot about that.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 seconds on that. 5 minutes on there.
Yeah.
What's fatherhood like?
But I mean, it's...
Can you do it in 2 sentences each? For someone who hopefully one day will...
It's a blind
tread that
panic.
path. Wow.
That's what it is.
Succinct.
Like a monumental, physical, rewarding struggle fight
Struggle fight.
daily.
It's a significant fight, a struggle fight.
I don't know whether I can sum parenting up in 2 days, but what I will say is I'm
2
with...
days?
In 2 days even, never mind 2 sentences. But I am with the right person, the one person that I will be happy standing behind the kitchen door with, screaming fuck off at me kids. Because that's what sometimes you are reduced to. But I know that I'm with the right person. We can both stand behind that kitchen door together and scream fuck off like this. Fuck off. When did you fuck off?
You know what you do.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I love that. That's the most romantic thing I've ever
That's
heard.
beautiful,
It
yeah.
is beautiful.
Can't
No,
wait.
that's... we've been lucky. Some of my NCT group listen to this, right? And they've had... there's 5 different
Are we
types of
doing
kids you
NCT
can
group
have.
shout-outs? Is that
We're
what
doing an NCT group shout out.
Okay.
No, because I read about these
Placentas for
the
life.
different types of kids that you can have. Right?
Don't do that, I've got a son nipple.
And on one end of the spectrum is an angel baby, and on the other end of the spectrum is a grumpy baby. Now, a grumpy baby, if you take it outside, it cries. If you pass it around, it cries. Like, they're just any change, they're gonna cry. We've got an angel baby, which means that the dogs are barking, someone comes to the door, you take her out, you take her from a buggy into this, into that, upstairs, and she's amazing. She latches, all the stuff that you want a baby to do, she does. We're so blessed, and I know a few of the guys in NCT have got it a bit tough at the minute where they're not sleeping at all during the night. So we're very lucky.
Let me just give you one piece of advice.
But
and
it's
I'll give
very
it
hard.
A piece of advice that was handed to
very
me,
Yeah.
and I'll hand it to anyone who wants to listen. We don't talk about Sleep Club.
You do not talk about sleep.
The first rule of Sleep Club is you don't talk about Sleep Club, and guess what the second rule is?
You
don't talk about Sleep Club. So if you're having good sleep, don't tell people about it. If you're having bad sleep, particularly if you're having good sleep, don't tell anyone about it, because you're guaranteed the next night to have an horrendous night. So never talk about how well.
We had a bad night last night, and I respect that. But yeah, it's an absolute gift.
It's like someone spitting
It's a
in my
gift.
face.
Oh, and I did just want to say genuinely thank you, because there was a lot of people that had commented on videos and stuff like that before, and really kind of been quite supportive and friendly, and that actually was really nice. So and that's what, it's quite touching it how nice people are to you, that when you have a kid, like, and I got an amazing gift from Redmen actually, from Chris, which was a Bo Jackson baby grow.
Don't talk about gift club.
You
could have got away with it. You could have got some of the credit.
I'm not taking any credit.
So thanks for that, Chris. And Cheeky Sport, who sent a bunny rabbit. Yeah,
really
lovely. I didn't see your gift, James.
Yeah, it's on its way. Loyalty in football is the big one for today. Dimitri Payet dropped that bomb. Well, he didn't drop the bombshell. Bilic did last week, saying that Payet doesn't want to be there anymore. That despite signing a contract in the summer for 5 years and 125k, that he just wanted to go home. As it's moved forward, Marseille put forward a £90 million bid, then a £20 million bid, but West Ham seemed to want 30 million. But it was a bit of a shock, and you could see that from, say, Nicky from West Ham Fan TV. We were trying to get on the podcast, but he's a bit too busy, unfortunately. That is Dimitri Payet, of all players in the Premier League. You could see how that could affect West Ham fans, more so probably, I think, than any other team in the Premier League, because he's that guy. He's their number 10.
The talisman.
He is the talisman by a mile.
And he had a great Euros.
Incredible Euros.
So if you guys had Payet, right, and he had a great Euros like that, you'd be wanting to lock him up, wouldn't you? Yeah. But you'd be wanting to lock him up for two reasons. One, because you want him at your club, but secondly, because having him on a long contract establishes some value for you in terms of negotiations. Yeah. So in some ways, it's kind of not surprising that it's happening like this, but it's just quite soon, I guess. That's what the problem is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would have got to a point. There's a general rule now that once you're into the last 2 years of your contract, you've seen that with Arsenal, that you need to be locked into the next contract. But when you've got 5 years on a contract, you would hope that you'd be okay.
There was probably a feeling amongst all West Ham fans in the summer of like, whew, okay,
relief,
great, embrace the future. Well, things are looking up on the pitch. We look great. We've got this great guy just smashed at Euros, and he's a hammer and all this shite. and then he locked onto the new stadium, blah 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 blah, and it's just gone horrendously wrong, hasn't it? You know what I mean? It must be, and I'm laughing, but it's not a situation I would enjoy being in if it was happening at Liverpool. And God knows we've had similar situations of massive unrest at our club in the last decade, you know, and so yeah, it must be. I share some empathy with the likes of Nicky and stuff, because who the fuck needs it? It'd be nice just to be able to enjoy your footy, wouldn't it, without having to deal with all this stuff.
Yeah, and it obviously puts West Ham in a very difficult position. I think what I find slightly interesting is that Bilic came out and said it. That didn't actually need to happen.
No. What said what? Sorry.
So he's come out in a press conference saying that he's refusing to train and he's refusing to play.
Well, he has to say something at some point, because he can't just not play him and then the questions all be about that.
But he could have given himself another week at least.
But is he protecting himself there?
Yeah, I think so. But listen, I've got probably a slightly different view to most people on it. Say you're working in a business and you're top of your sales team or something like that, and you're doing amazingly well, and you've just been given a little pay rise and stuff like that, and then the business changes. It's not the business that you bought into. It's not the business that you enjoyed working in, and you then go and decide, well, do you know what? I'm going to get another job over here. That's totally fine in normal life, but when it's a footballer doing it, and let's be honest, West Ham have gone through a heck of a lot of stuff at the minute, and it's not the same club that he signed that 5-year deal with. It's not even playing in the same stadium anymore. Is it so bad for him to want to go and move? I don't think it is.
Question. And he's saying it's family reasons.
Family think West Ham is shit, is that what it is?
Yeah, exactly. which makes you want to kind of have a bit more sympathy for that situation. Apparently he's been linked with other big clubs in England and China, of course, but he just wants to kind of go back to Marseille. But I think that's what I mean, is what is loyalty worth? How much does it cost to have someone who's loyal? It sounds like there isn't an amount.
The only loyalty that actually exists in football is the fans to the clubs.
Yeah.
That's it. If you think Gold, Sullivan and Brady really passionate about West Ham and restoring them to glory of the past or whatever, they're not. They've bought an asset fairly cheap. They love the stadium move. They love the fact they're going to Europe, because all that does is increase value, and they know that fairly soon they're going to sell this to someone from China or some sheikh or American that's going to come in, that's going to pay them a hell of a lot of money for a London club in this Olympic stadium with this capacity, with X, Y, and Z, and they're going to sell it on, and they're going to make a shed loads of cash from it. So their loyalty isn't to the football team, it's to their wallets, it's to their legacy, to their business and all their other interests.
It's hard, isn't it, because we're fans, it's very hard to put yourself in the shoes of professional footballers sometimes, and I think your immediate reaction is, well, fuck him, because if he doesn't want to play for me club, then fuck him, you know what I mean? And that's I think we should have that mentality, really, because I don't think we should get too hung up over footballers, because they come and go. The older you get, you don't have heroes in football anymore. The older you get, because you can't, you become too far removed from them, or you become too old. You realise, why is my hero someone who's 10 years younger than me? That's a bit weird. But it is. But equally if you try your best to look at it from the footballer's perspective, and we've had to do this in recent years. You mentioned Suarez. There will be the fact of the matter is Dimitri Payet is limited in his options of when he can move as well, if nothing else. And there is a major issue, and it's something that's cropped up. And again, the way it's been done is just weird and wrong. I don't like to see that kind of thing. But if you just looked at him from a perspective of, like you said, if it was a normal business and you've got a window of 4 weeks in which you're allowed to completely uproot your life and family, and you've got to get something sorted, that would be difficult if you just walked out of your job and got a new job. Whereas you've got to convince business owners that you know to go to bat for you, because you're not organising deals. You've got to go and organise clubs. You've got to go and find someone willing to pay a figure that they deem worthy of you, and all this kind of stuff. Like I say, it sounds, again, I say this a lot, but cry me a river, Dimitri Payet, but that is the reality of his situation. There's no point in him agitating in a month's time, because there's nothing that can be done about his situation.
Leon McKenzie said on a Wall Street transfer deadline day live stream we did a few years back, he was talking about moving on deadline day for £1 million, which back then was a decent amount of money, maybe to Coventry.
He did play for Coventry, yeah.
I think it was signed by Coventry, maybe, I don't know, if Norwich or Palace, to go there for £1 million. And his agent basically advised him, the only way we're going to get this deal done, right, is if you essentially sever your ties. You burn the bridges. Don't go into training, act like a twat, don't be the guy that you've been, because we need to force the move, and that's the only way that it will kind of make it clear and they'll want you out. So he's doing what is the laid down path, the blueprint almost, for someone that's trying to get out of a football club, and we've seen it happen loads and loads of times. Sometimes though, the club are strong enough to go, well, actually, Mourinho, for example, we're not going to cave in. What we're going to do is we're going to force you to sit and rot in the reserves. So, but I just think for West Ham, it's the fans that are again carrying the can, because they've had all the stuff with the stadium, and now the star players kind of forcing a move, and they're the ones that are sitting there going, "Fucking hell, he was the one thing that I actually enjoyed coming to watch." You know what I mean? He was the one that, because he plays with passion.
There does seem to be a lot of buyer's remorse around West Ham this season, doesn't there? Could have done with a cooling off period, if I'm perfectly honest. What the stadium just stop them bulldozers a minute. That's not quite worked out right for his contract. I'm not sure I really wanted to commit to 5 years for this club. It's a shame, but it's right, isn't it? I think the lad in me that loves, the young lad in me that loves football hates the mercenary side of it, because he should love that foot. If he's signed for 5 years and he's beloved by the fans, what more do you want from life? Because let's face it, with someone like Dimitri Payet, where has he been? He's late 20s, going into his 30s. He is a very late bloomer, because by all accounts, he was a knobhead, and and it was his own personality was getting in the way of his footballing ability, and that's why he's broken through at such a late age. To be in a football club where there's an incredibly passionate fan base, and they worship the ground that you walk upon. And maybe you should enjoy that.
He will get that if he goes back to Marseille. Yeah. He said, hasn't he, publicly, that his family haven't settled in London, and whether you believe that or not, I think the fact that he does want to go back to Marseille does kind of back that up a little bit. Because if he was going, if it's Carlos Tevez and he goes, I want to move closer to home, and then doesn't, you know what I mean? That's a bit different, exactly. But when Payet actually wants to go back home, where he will be loved, I can kind of understand that, to be honest. And I don't like the mercenary side of it either, but I can put myself in his shoes.
You're talking about blueprints there. In Brentford, they had a player called Holloway, who's like their best player. And then his dad became poorly, and so he was honest with Brentford and said, I need to go back to Eibar, I think it was. And they let him go back and play for Eibar for, Adam, how long was it? How many months?
6 months.
6 months. And he's now come back. And so with Payet, I think there could have been
that.
It's a lovely story, yeah.
There could have been isn't it?
There could have been a different way for Payet to approach it, because that's the problem with this transfer.
What's the commute like, Marseille to London?
No, but he could stay. The family
can
go back and if they're unsettled, or you could sort out a loan move to Marseille.
You haven't
for a
got
bit.
kids, James, have you? Come on.
But or he could go back to Marseille on loan because of this reason, and then sort something out in the summer. The problem with the transfer window is it puts you over, what's the phrase? Puts you over a barrel or whatever it is. It's such a small amount of time that the players end up going, all right, I'll go for it and sever those ties. Yeah. But it can get to a point, and you found it with Suarez, where Liverpool just went no, and that's a gamble in itself as well, because you can strop for as long as you want. The other way, it's difficult.
The thing with Payet, again, he's coming to that age of his career where I actually, even if he'd said, this is as good as I'm ever going to get, if someone if a massive club had come in for him, again, that would be the normal route for this. So maybe there needs to be a touch more sympathy from in this perspective. I don't know. Like I say, I just love footballers to just really want to play for your club and appreciate the efforts that you put in. And
okay, so say for example, West Ham had a very different season on the pitch, and they were winning. The fan base would probably be a hell of a lot. Like, winning makes you forget about a lot of things, doesn't it? And actually, maybe Payet would be happy, because he played and he was one of the top players at the Euros. He was one of the top players in the Premier League last season, and he probably feels like he deserves, or he should be playing in a team that's actually fighting it out for honours, not knocked out of most things. So you can kind of understand it a little bit. But the washed up agent said on a podcast in the past, because I think that Flav was asking about Harry Kane, and he was saying, look, can you just, when Harry Kane kisses the badge and says he loves the club, does he mean it? Does he? And the washed up agent said no. So I say, look, all of them, they'll say that, they'll do those things, but they're all motivated by status.
Well, we have it at Liverpool. It's surprising how many, because isn't it great how many ex-players, what an affinity they develop for Liverpool. Well, yeah, affinity because two things. Some of them won a lot of trophies at Liverpool, and maybe they feel they owe Liverpool something. But equally, there's a Liverpool gravy train, and that if you are just a Coventry City legend or whatever, maybe the opportunity for you to earn some dough out after the game's over are far more limited than they would be at Liverpool. So this is the thing.
Should we as football fans just get over it? Stop romanticising it and be more like the NFL. It's much more understood that it's a business, that players move all over the place.
Well, it's funny that and Matt loves his NFL, more than anybody, but there is a clear correlation in the NFL, I believe, with loyalty bringing winningness as well. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have 6 Super Bowls and have had 3 head coaches over the last 34 years or something like that, and Manchester United did it to bring it back to football, and Arsene Wenger has done it. Teams who have loyalty from, be it managers or good players, tend to do really well. So it's about picking the right people for your club at the right time.
There's Holloway's he's starting to do that as well, getting rid of for a minute. Like people, he said in his last press conference, the balance of a team is so important. He himself has brought a certain amount of balance, because as fans, we don't need to worry about his experience, his passion towards it. But then he was saying, with the team itself, you're better off getting rid of a Sandro, despite him being clearly probably a better player than the rest of them, if he doesn't want to be there.
I really like both of those points, because if you think about it as well in terms of West Ham, what's the culture of that club right now? I think that the way that the board's acted, the way that they've not consulted fans, the way that they've been kind of almost dismissive and taken people's willing to turn up and buy a ticket and to buy the shirt for granted a little bit. Absolutely. They've created a culture whereby that loyalty that you're talking about, it doesn't exist, So maybe this is a little bit of karma in some ways for the club, you know, or for the people that run the club.
Yeah.
But for the supporters, those are the people that I kind of feel sorry for, because when it's tough and when you're not doing well, you really look to those talisman, those people to kind of almost lift everybody else in their performances. And if he's not feeling it, you know, probably the best thing is to just let him go on his way and get someone in that wants to play for West Ham and that'll, you know, play with a bit of passion and start to actually get them to turn things around and get back up that table.
Liverpool are going through it right now with Mamadou Sakho. You know, we've let him rot in the reserves, or the under-23s, for a few months now, because he wasn't willing to be what Klopp wanted behind the scenes and stuff, and we had a lot of issues in pre-season training with him and stuff like that. You know, there's a £20 million asset that Liverpool have just left out of their squad, and sometimes it's better for the group that you just get rid of those bad apples.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that the same thing that you could see happening with Costa? It looks like it's not going to happen in the January transfer window. Mainly, it sounds like, well, coming from China, because of the rule change, you only allowed 3 foreign players, I think, in China. So that's kind of scuppered that. But he'll have to go in the summer. Is it worth excluding him from it, regardless of how important he is as a player?
I think we can mention before, Luis Suarez. I think there's a mentality of different types of players, and I think if you're Dimitri Payet, or you're one of these, like, you know, we call them luxury players to some extent. They're these kind of guys, and they flit in and out of games at times, and they're all about just delivering a moment of magic. They're the kind of players who you get rid of them, because they're the kind of players who need to be in the right headspace. They need to be loving life to be able to play to the best of their ability.
We are all human, though, aren't
we? As well. Exactly. But you look at like Luis Suarez, he just loves football. And Mascherano was the same for us as well. Like, he refused to play for Liverpool under Roy Hodgson to make sure he got his move to Barcelona. And
didn't really work out for him.
No, it didn't work out for him.
He regrets that decision, I'm sure.
There are types of players. There are types of players who have got that edge to them, and Costa's the kind of person I suspect, from what you see of him on the pitch in particular, is that if that window was, all those avenues were shut off to him, he'd just probably shrug his shoulders and get back into being the little get that he is on the pitch. You know what I mean? Whereas I think there's certain types of players who would strop, and I don't know. I think he might, although I guess you could use last season's example where his head did go and he didn't perform on the pitch. But I would suspect, given that because everything's going well at Chelsea, I think when everything's going wrong around it, like maybe like Payet now, you're thinking, oh God, what's the point? Because even if I give me all, it's not going to go to me best of my ways. Costa would probably settle down and go, okay, I'm not going. Well, come on, I'm going to go win a Premier League title, and then I'll get off.
I'll tell you what, though, is happening right now with all the money that China's throwing around, with the money that Chinese government's ploughed into the game for their TV rights, which is giving the clubs the budgets to go out there and kind of and to be even approaching people like Costa. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Taking someone like a Hulk or even some of these players that have moved, or even a Tevez that's kind of maybe on the way down, to actually be plucking someone from the top of the Premier League, this main striker on top of the Premier League, that takes audacity.
Top scorer.
Yeah, top scorer. But what you do know, without a shadow of a doubt, every bloody agent, every top agent right now is looking at China and going to their players, if I could get you that much, would you go? And they must be going to China and saying, you might be interested. If it's this much money, then maybe we've got a deal. Because agents ultimately, and this is where you've got to look at people's motivations. You've got to look at it with football clubs and the people that run football clubs and their motivations. You've got to look at it in terms of agents, because they're sitting there looking at China and thinking, this is going to set me up for my life. This is going to allow me to go and buy that.
These are not human beings who are salaried.
Yeah.
Who don't need, who think, well, fine. You know, I always joked about, like, when you used to go, I used to work for Comets back in the day. Oh, Comets.
Is Comet still
No, it's not a thing anymore. But you were based on, but it was based a very, very basic salary plus commission on top, and all the old head guys there who were supposed to help you out as a new member. I was like 17 when I started working there, and like, you go, can you just help me with this? And they were like, yeah, no problem. Like, you know, like, but come, yes, madam, you want this television, blah blah blah, and they'd be there to rinse it off. And of course, that's the mentality of people who are in those kind of things. You know, when your entire lifestyle can be dependent upon how well you do your job and how much money you bring in. Yeah, God, you must be, as an agent who've got a player playing in one of the top leagues. Yeah, there's no way they're not going, oh, yeah. Ooh, exactly. Think about my new Bentley.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And look, you even get it in media and in social media in the world that Ball Street and our network exists in. because we're sitting there going, oh, look at this great idea, look at this great content that we do, and how engaging this will be for Liverpool fans or for whatever. Why don't you make some content with us? But people that are brand managers, people that are working in media agencies, it's what are their motivations? Because their motivations aren't necessarily, I want to do this amazing thing over here that all these people are going to care about. Actually, what their motivations are is their career. And in their career, they're working on an appraisal system whereby they need to increase what they did last year by a certain percent. They need to do this thing, which the industry and which the bosses of their company understand and can report on. Yeah. So they're not tasked with going out and doing something amazing and new. They're still tasked with doing something that actually the guy who owns the company or the management team in that company were so far removed that they don't really know where people's attention is. They don't know how that football fans are essentially watching a match but on Twitter, looking at one of our Twitter accounts, or actually watching most of their time on YouTube rather than Sky Sports. They still want to see an advert in halftime at Sky Sports, even though no one's fucking watching. And that's because their motivations are about their career and about making people within that company happy, rather than doing something that actually fucking works and actually cuts through.
It boils down to it simply is that the agents in this particular instance, I know a couple of football agents, and I don't know any who genuinely love football. Because they're
but they love money.
Exactly, and because you've got to be money motivated in that regard, and that's what we're dealing with in these kind of situations. Is that when you chief the guy who is, like, I still go back to Raheem Sterling and how poorly advised he was, and you could see you watching him fold before your eyes, like you're listening to the wrong person. There's no way your agent's not just going, oh, look at this. Look at you sorted. Look at this. This is a disgrace. Blah 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 blah. And you could watch somebody, this young lad being taken off on this course because you were his agent. Why wouldn't you? You know, because there's no money in him sitting around comparatively on a decent contract for another 5 or 6 years in a club that might not be playing at the top end of the league. But you can get a £50 million transfer here. Put someone right at the top of there. You get a £50 million transfer, and it doesn't work out. Then within 2 seasons, it'll be a £25 million transfer. Cha-ching. Within that, then it'll be 10, and then it'll be 5. But all the way, you've milked this kid dry, and you move on, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, what's incredible about this? I was chatting to Nick on the phone, and he was saying
West Ham Fan TV.
Sorry, West Ham Fan TV, Nick, and he was saying how bizarrely this array of shit that's just been thrown at him and them this season. The game on Saturday, he said the atmosphere is the best it's ever been, and he said it was back to the old West Ham.
Nice.
He had a group of players there, no superstars really.
Love
that Carroll was a joke, and he said, and it looked like it was guys working for the shirt, and it shows that that's a simple pleasure of being a football.
That's what happens to football fans, though. You know, you club together and you have this us versus them mentality, and that will always bring football fans together, and every club can say that.
Adversity can galvanise you, can't you?
Anfield, Dortmund last season. If we're ahead, that atmosphere isn't like that, but the atmosphere is created by what's happening on the pitch, and us going behind and needing those goals created something special there, and that happens across football all around the world.
Well, Glasgow Rangers, when everything happened, they got relegated, lost a bit of support, but it just made those people that are there even more vociferous and feel more pride in it, and that's why I jumped on that social club. I was saying, if you're just sitting there in the Premier League, not doing F all, just sitting above relegation and finishing there every year, not actually knowing victory nor true defeat, take a relegation and it's fun when you come back up. You know, to win what? When you go and win 35 games, you're telling me that's not fun? Yeah. Everywhere going up and down the country and having a sing-song, 2-0 up with 20 minutes to go. It's great. And sometimes that going down can actually knock off a little bit of the glory hunters and actually kind of get you that connection with the club again.
Does that lead us well to... Sorry, do you want to say something?
I was just going to say that loyalty in football, though, it doesn't completely not exist. Wagner, Klopp's best man at his wedding, Huddersfield Town manager, if you don't know, turned down Wolfsburg. Yeah? Bundesliga, turned him down, said, I want to stay, I want to be a Yorkshire Terrier. But Andy Booth, right...
Do people listening know? Has this been enough? Have you explained this enough?
We've probably mentioned they know I'm a Huddersfield fan, and they probably know Andy Booth is. But all I was going to say is when Huddersfield Town were really struggling, right? He'd started off at our place. His parents had worked on the turnstiles. He'd come through the reserves. He did amazing for us. Scored loads of goals. Went away to Sheffield Wednesday, and he came back to us later on in his career. And we'd just got relegated. and the club was in really bad condition at this stage. We'd just gone down into the second division.
Yeah.
Now he got the opportunity to go and play for more cash at Cardiff, turned them down. He also got the opportunity to go and play for Bradford for more money, and he actually said, look, I'm not going to fucking Bradford, I'll take a pay cut, I want to stay here.
Boss.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
Andy
beautiful.
Booth.
Andy Booth.
Well, I was going to actually mention, I was just quickly checking to make sure I got the right player. I've been doing a bit of research for an upcoming strand on the Retro Football channel. Angelo Di Livio, I don't know if you remember him as Italian footballer. So he was at Fiorentina. He used to play for Juventus, but he was at Fiorentina when it all went completely tits up and that club went bust.
Right.
And they ended up in the bottom division, and he stayed with them.
Love that.
And I know, although Italian football is the most corrupt thing ever, and there's more to this story than it's worth going into now, but there will be. We'll be doing it on the Retro Footy channel soon.
Nice.
He basically came all the way back up through the leagues.
Love that, like
with Fiorentina, and got one season more in. Exactly, yeah. Well, they're a Phoenix club, which is the term. But they got back to Serie A. Did one more season. He's dead old. He was well old, but he was one of them. And the club absolutely adored him.
Well, didn't he?
Yeah.
Del Piero did it with Juventus.
I remember a Batty goal back in the day.
Oh, Gabriel Batistuta.
Oh mate, he
unbelievable.
He knew where the net was.
Just anyone remember Abel Balbo?
No.
Yeah, no, he was good. Palmer.
Palmer.
Okay. Fastino Asprilla.
The one thing I want to say, because I guess we have that in common, that there are the relegations and the promotions that allow it to be exciting for us, and you kind of understand if you go down it, it's okay, hang in there.
Is it?
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fun.
It's absolutely fine. This is what I want to talk to you about, Chris, was the passionate speech. We're not saying rant. Passionate speech that you said on Redmen TV about the situation of Liverpool fans in what is, from the outside, seen as a really exciting season for you, but you weren't happy with the atmosphere there.
No, not at all, because I think there's times during football matches and seasons where there is a lull with the fan base and stuff like that, and I think I don't know whether Liverpool fans are ready for a title fight yet, because I believe that you can get yourselves into a title fight by making your home support massively effectual. And that doesn't mean every time you play Manchester United or Manchester City or Chelsea. It means be the 12th man every single game you play at home, and stop sitting there with your arms folded and just go to enjoy the spectacle. If you're a football supporter, I go because I want to sing and I want to shout and I want to support my team. I barely watch the match when I'm in the Kop. I'm just up on my feet and you're just singing all the time, especially away games. The game is secondary to being able to try and affect the game of football, and there's not enough of that now. And there's far too many people who go to the game with, and it's cliche as anything, but iPads and phones. Don't get me wrong, I film stuff when I'm at the game. It doesn't stop me singing. It doesn't stop me shouting.
Listen to the videos that have come out.
Yeah, because my terrible singing is there. But this is what it's about, and I don't believe that when fans can't turn up 18 or 19 games a season, you can expect players
it's the
who
same
don't
fans.
even love the club to turn up. Whereas I love the club and all Liverpool fans love the club, and they're not ready for the fight. So why would the people who we pay, who don't love the club, turn up and be ready for the fight?
It's those same fans, isn't it, who like, God, look at him not putting the performance in. Mate, you turned up 2 minutes before kick-off, you scowled and urged your way through 85 minutes and then you got off to beat the traffic. Fuck off. Leave him alone, because you know what, at least the guy ran around for a bit. I'm not saying it's right, but you know what I mean. This is the mentality of our fan base. I've been saying this for years. I did an article on it a while back about me writing stuff is a very, very rare occurrence on these things, and it was about how there's being too cool for footy, and Liverpool's are very much a city where at times we can be too cool to clap. I've always talked about it, like with music and stuff like that. You kind of don't want to give respect. Sometimes it's got to be like, this has got to be brilliant for me to get into, and there's an attitude of like, you've got to dress a certain way or be a certain way to go to football. And I've just said, like, because we all cringe at these, like when you watch the fucking rugby or you watch the cricket, and you see these lads who dress up, England is the worst for it, to be fair. As you go, people going as knights, and you think, oh, you fucking set of knobheads. But honestly, when I look at the cricket and I look at this, and I think, I bet the guys who go dressed as Fred Flintstone to a sporting event, they don't sit there in silence watching it. They live every ball, they live every kick and knock on every single thing of it. And sometimes we need a little bit more of that at Liverpool. I think we take ourselves a little bit too seriously at times, and we're a bit embarrassed almost to be. You don't. Like, no one wants to be that one who stands up and starts something singing and it doesn't work out for them. There's got to be an unabashed unashamedness about supporting your club that I think has been lost. And it's been diluted, I think, through the years of Liverpool and probably most football clubs.
I think it's a shame that Flav's not here because he's got a great point of view on all this stuff, and obviously the movement that him and his pals started with the Fighting Cock, the 1882 movement, and going and watching youth team games and getting everyone singing to try and kind of create that atmosphere that wasn't turning up for a Premier League game to watch the first team. So I think he'd have some really nice stuff on that. But you kind of do see, right, this, I don't know where it swung. But you do see, when I notice some of the comments on our YouTube channel, you do see some of this stuff, and I've seen it with a lot of Arsenal fans when they've been under discussion where they're going, because we pay the most amount of money, therefore...
It's an entitlement.
Yeah. And you do see this with fans, but it's like, well, we're paying this amount of money, therefore I'm allowed to vent I'm allowed to kind of boo, or I'm allowed to do this, I do that. And I don't know how I feel about all that. So I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. I don't know, but I just think that there's 20 teams in that league, in that Premier League. Only one team can win it.
Well, you've been saying this a lot in recent weeks, haven't you? And I love that point of that, and I've been making that. I've actually taken that and used that on our thing because you verbalise something that I've not been able to kind of package up myself in recent, because that. You've just got to enjoy the fucking ride, haven't you? Because at the end of the day, and what we were saying over on Redmen is, it's of the top 6 teams in the Premier League, it's every one of our year, because we're all showing signs that we're going to be the team that comes out on top, these late wins or blah blah blah. But when you're so convinced it's your year, it just means you're going to be absolutely heartbroken when it's not, because at the very least there's a 1 in 6 chance that it's not going to be. It actually doesn't work out like that at all. The odds are incalculable in certain ways. Like, and so you're right. And this builds in a mentality where we don't look at the 19 other teams around us, and that's why I love Jurgen Klopp and his approach to Liverpool. He laughs. It was Dortmund, the game that now is like synonymous with Liverpool and the fighting passion, all that. They had a free kick with like the last kick of the game, and Jurgen Klopp stands there and he's just laughing. He's laughing his head off because he's like, this goes in, we lose and we're out, but there's fuck all I can do about it. So how fucking, almost like the hilarity of the situation, that you could do all this, you could battle back, you could break all the odds, and then some fucking prick can stick a free kick in the top corner and it's gone, and you've got to, exactly you've got to laugh about these things, because, and that's what football comes down to, is we all take football too seriously. Well, I try not to, and I think I do a reasonable job of it, but I think football's so po-faced, and we've been talking about this for years, the way it's covered from the mainstream down, I think it poisons fans' mindsets to think that this is the be all and end all, and we're just as bad, because you've got Bill Shankly saying it's not a matter of life or death, it's more important than that. Well, I'm sorry, but that's just a great expression. It's not meaningful, it's just words. Bill Shankly probably would have changed his opinion on that if he'd managed Liverpool through Hillsborough. You know what I mean? These are the kind of things. So there are things that are definitely more important than all that.
True.
But this is the point. We are trained, we are brainwashed to think that everything that happens is dead. The decision dead important. Whereas we should just be able to go and enjoy footy, have a laugh, and again, that passion should translate into just fucking supporting the team through thick or thin. Because what's the fucking point if you don't? Go on.
There is a time to look. Me more than anybody, after the game I'll analyse it and you'll think about it and you'll have a little go at some players and you'll whatever, but during those 90 minutes that the game's on, don't look at your phone, don't fucking look around, don't go and get a pizza when the game's on. It's 45 minutes both halves, stay for all 45 minutes.
Give you a great one, Chris. This noise, you can do that noise, that's automatic. That's automatic. When someone skies a fucking easy effort, for fuck's sake. And you know what you then do? How do you follow that?
Come on, and again.
Come on, lad, unlucky. You don't shout, hit the fucking target, as though he's planned to not hit the target, as though he's played football all his fucking life. And you've just shouted that. Oh, you're shitting me, mate. Thanks very much. Why has no one said this to me?
I didn't know I had to try and hit the target. I was just trying to kick it into the
fucking whoppers.
But then, we were talking before about like the entitlement that £50, let's say, for a ticket gives you and stuff like that. Wouldn't it be so boring if you paid £50 and just turned up and you won a league? I mean, it is about the ride there. It's about those ups and downs. I wouldn't pay.
I don't know, just the one.
Maybe if you knew the outcome.
You need to go through that to experience it.
People can't hear when we're all talking at once.
You need to go through the ups and the downs to experience how good winning is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, winning's no good if it's just fucking easy and you didn't play another team, you were just handed the Premier League title. That's what fans seem to think. Well, I spend this much on a ticket, so we should win. Not at all. It's a game of fucking sport at the end of the day. What we enjoy about it is the fact that you can win, you can lose, you can draw, you can see great moments, you can see bad moments. That's what is football and what's so good about it.
And sometimes you can win when you deserve to lose, and sometimes when you deserve to lose, you can sneak it and you can win, and that's the theatre that's beautiful. Sorry, James, you had to
I think you're bang on. And that's what I think. I think it's really difficult to support a Man United or a Real Madrid or whatever, because a win is like it's relief. It's not
what's
joy.
Expected in
exactly. It's that waiting 20 odd years for Bobby Zamora to score in the last minute at Wembley in a game that you never deserved to win. It was absolute robbery. Or Leicester winning it, or that day when you get in the Premier League or you win the Premier League is going to be so much more potent than what United experience. Even I think it's going to be difficult for Arsenal fans because again they feel like, why haven't we won it yet?
Yeah,
it's the wrong attitude.
It is. It's what you use because it's all relative, isn't it? You know, and I dare say that I've had as much joy supporting Huddersfield Town as anyone's had supporting their team. But it just does make me laugh.
You've not had more joy supporting Huddersfield than I've had supporting Liverpool.
It's been more potent when he's had it.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
We've been shit too.
Not really.
Not really.
We've had some good years.
Yeah, we've
had some good years. We've got it quite lucky, really.
Yeah,
I do that all
the
the
years
time.
when you were only signing £10 million
I remember I was in uni and we sold Robbie Fowler to Leeds and I was devastated, genuinely devastated. And I turned up to like the student night, I met up with a mate and he was like, I had to face the floor, I was dead upset and he was like, what's the matter with you? And I was like, we just sold Robbie Fowler, God, he's just left. And he went, I support Stockport. We've got Carlton Palmer as our manager. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. You know, like, and this is, these are the things that
they're in the Conference North now, I think.
It's crazy, isn't it?
That's horrible. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
So still to come, pod questions. We've got some good pod questions. I've got my Holloway versus Klopp, and I've also got another game called The Legend's Not Marked Right. Which one would you like to do next?
Scrabble.
Scrabble's not on there.
Holloway versus Klopp.
Holloway versus Klopp. Right.
Is that the right answer? Is that the right answer? Because that's the order.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Who said this? Ian Holloway or Jurgen Klopp?
Well?
Yeah, of course you are.
Okay.
So Ian Holloway and Jurgen Klopp, as everyone knows, are the two greatest managers in English football at the moment, and both have great quotes.
Sure.
I've put together a list. Leave it. Put together a list. You've got to tell me if Klopp said it or Holloway said it.
I'd just like to say I've never seen anyone as happy or as James from Holloway coming back. Like
he's like a pig in shit.
He's an amazing man.
He is. Go on.
So's Ian.
What's the quote, mate?
Okay, right. First one. Hang on. So this person who said this was about Cristiano Ronaldo. He's 6 foot something, fit as a flea, good looking. He's got to have
Holloway.
Well, let me read it out.
Well, it's obviously Holloway.
I mean, it's definitely Holloway, but finish reading it.
Yeah. He's got something. He's got to have something wrong with him. Hopefully, he's hung like a hamster. That would make us all feel better.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's Holloway.
See, only the greatest ones. Yeah, it was Holloway. On a poor first half performance, who said this at half time? He said, I told my players during the break, since we're here anyway, we might as well actually play a bit of football.
Holloway.
Klopp.
I say Holloway.
It's Klopp.
Well done.
What
Klopp.
game?
I don't know, doesn't say. On the crucial difference between himself and Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger.
Klopp.
Could be Holloway. Black boys in the Premier League. He likes having the ball, playing football, passes. It's like an orchestra. It's a silent song.
Yeah,
I like heavy metal.
It's Klopp.
Dear me, who could that possibly be? BT would have had no advertising campaign over the last 12 months.
Last one. Said that. On his hair transplant. Yes, it's true. I underwent a hair transplant. I think the results are really cool, don't you?
Rooney.
Which time?
It's definitely Klopp.
It's Klopp, yeah, Holloway when he's bald. Trick question.
Oh.
Right.
Not so much a trick question, it's a really obvious question.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my first game.
I like that one.
Second game is The Legend's Not Marked Right. Okay, guys. Sorry, Matt, this is just for the Liverpool boys. So, I'm going to give you a legend, starting with Mark Wright, and you've got to decide which one is more of a legend. Calm that down a bit. More of a legend until we'll get to find out who's the greatest Liverpool legend of all time. For those of you who aren't a Liverpool fan, if you're a Crystal Palace fan, you can also play this game with Mark Wright, and if you're an Ipswich fan, with Tommy Wright. Right, let's go. Mark Wright. The legend's not Mark Wright. We start with Mark Wright. Is Neil Ruddock a bigger legend And Mark Wright.
He's bigger.
A Liverpool legend. Oh God.
It's Mark Wright.
It's Mark Wright.
It's Mark Wright. Okay. Vladimir Schmitzer or Mark Wright?
Vladimir Schmitzer.
Chris?
He doesn't even know. He's forgotten Mark Wright.
Mark Wright was our captain for a long time. Vladimir Schmitzer had 4 bad years and 1 good one. Mark Wright.
Okay, Mark Wright, hanging in there. It's good. Mark Wright or Jersey Dudek?
Jersey Dudek.
Mark Wright.
Mark Wright. Hang on. There we go. Mark Wright, still. Okay, Mark Wright or Jan Molby?
Jan Molby.
Jan Molby.
Mark Wright's doing well.
Can I just say we've got? I'm sorry to cut into the game, but the washed up agent has got Jan Molby's number, right? And every now and again, just for a laugh, it calls it up because Jan Molby never picks up his phone, and he always does this message going, Jan, all right, mate, it's Big Jimmy Howard here. Yeah, but he just does his chat, just gives us a ring back, never calls back. It's brilliant. Every now and again.
Jan Molby or Ian Rush?
Ian Rush.
Ian Rush or Alan Hansen?
Ian Rush.
Ian Rush or Robbie Fowler?
Ian Rush.
Ian Rush or Steven Gerrard?
Steven Gerrard.
Why?
Because he was there for a lot longer. He didn't leave us to go to Italy. And because he carried us to so many things, whereas Ian Rush was a great player, one of the best that Liverpool have ever had, but in a great side.
Great finisher.
Great start.
Kenny, I mean, crying out loud, Kenny Dalglish, how lucky was he?
For me,
it's just unfair.
For me, it's Dalglish and Gerrard are the two.
It's unfair. It's why you have to make the almost like do the Premier League era split, because it's not fair to compare anyone who played for Liverpool after 1990 to anyone who played them before, because like Ian Rush, Liverpool's top goal scorer of all time, single-handedly scored the goals that won so many.
That was the best team in the world at the time, without a shadow of a doubt.
So you're going Gerrard for the good of the game, people.
We'll go Steven Gerrard.
Okay. And finally, Steven Gerrard or Kenny Dalglish?
Kenny Dalglish.
Why?
Because I think he was just unbelievable as a player. I don't think we've seen that since.
But how does the kind of use the same argument they use for Stevie against the
Of course I can, but I'm not.
It's choosing not to. Yeah. Okay, so well, that's fine. We're just being honest about it. Yeah, let's just go.
Look, there's other things outside of football that Kenny's seen through. You know, the Hillsborough stuff and all that, and everything that he did for the families and going to every funeral afterwards and stuff like that. That is unbelievable.
Great man, deserves a knighthood, and then to get offered it and then turn it fucking down.
So officially, that's the end of the Legends Not Mark Wright, and Kenny Dalglish is the greatest Liverpool player of all time.
And the legend is not Mark Wright.
No Lewis
Legends
Suarez.
Not Mark Wright. Didn't make it onto the list for biting. Okay, that's my 2 games done. Don't worry, won't have to play it again. Pod questions. You're back, Matt. You're back.
Sorry.
You're in.
Pod questions.
Pod question, Matt. This is from Billy Robson at Billy Robson. Who are your sporting heroes besides footballers?
Wow, that's a great question. Well, one of them would be Bo Jackson, who Chris bought me a little thing of. But
you can only pick one.
I'll tell you. Okay, I'm going to go for right now. I'm going to say Derek Carr, because not only he's the quarterback of the Oakland Raiders. Not only is he
20 years younger than you.
Yeah. Not only is he not only is he an amazing player, right? Great player, and we've been starved for like 15 years. We haven't had a quarterback, and we've got one now who's a top 5 quarterback. But it's the guy that he is. It's the man that he is. And unfortunately, we had one of them seasons where this year we were winning, right? We were caning it actually, and we had a legitimate chance of going all the way and getting to the Super Bowl. And on the day that we were in labour, he broke his fibula, and it was like the penultimate game of the season. Went out for the season, and it just killed us, and everything's just gone downhill since then. But the way that he is as a guy, like you just saw, it was like a balloon that had all the air taken out of it, and he just did this tweet straight afterwards where he never 4 games for that he broke his finger, and he kept getting asked questions like what's going on with the finger, because he couldn't do certain things that a quarterback would do, and he never complained. He never said, "Oh fuck, my finger's broken." He said, "Finger's fine." And then he broke his leg, and then he's completely out. and now it's come out that his finger was broken, arm dislocated, but he was playing on through the pain. And just the tweet that he sent moments after this happened to him. So for him, he was in the contention to be the MVP of the league this year. He was just about to go into the playoffs. This is what you dream as a kid going through. You're the leader of that team. All of a sudden, very cruelly taken away from you. And he don't complain or anything like that. He's just like, look, what this team now needs is for me to support and do what I can to help them win. And it was just like, I'm just like, fucking what a guy. As well as an amazing player, what a leader and a guy. So he's my boy. He's DC.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm not,
Tough, isn't it? It's
I'm
tough
not really.
question.
To be perfectly honest, I'm not that into any other sports.
What about when you were a kid?
So much. No, but even then, there were sports I followed, and there were athletes within that I kind of liked. Like, it's a daft one, but like in cricket, I used to love Devon Malcolm.
There
because-
you
go!
Devon Malcolm.
But-
Could you
but-
not?
Was he a hero?
Fast
Exactly,
bowler.
but this is the point.
That's it.
But this is the point. Not only because of him, only
Devon
because
Malcolm,
he'd always
great
be
answer.
He'd always be a tail end batsman for England,
Yeah,
and
it
it
was
was
funny.
fucking hilarious
It was so bad.
watching him slogging stuff for sixes,
Yeah.
desperately trying to fucking.
Yeah.
This is when England was shit, by the way. Like,
But they
and,
used to say, didn't they, at that point, right? He doesn't play the ball, he does it by numbers. So he'll go, the first ball, whatever it is, he'll play forward defensive.
way.
Second ball, he'll do a forward defensive. Third ball, no matter where it's coming, he's going to try a cross bat slog.
Yeah.
So that's how he used to always do it.
But yeah,
Amazing.
like there's loads of things I liked. You know, like I used to watch all when Nazim Hamed was coming into boxing as well. When all the boxing used to be just on Sky Sports on like a Friday night, I'd stay up and watch.
Very
that, and, you know,
entertaining.
and Steve Collins and all that around that time as well. Like,
Great era of boxing.
But again, in terms of heroes, the only thing is I'd have to modify it slightly to sports entertainment.
Not allowed.
Exactly, and go with like Bret Hart or something
Bret
like that.
Hart. Great, yeah.
I just love that being a kid, and he'd
personality.
go down there, he'd have his sunnies, and he'd walk over to a little kid in the crowd, and he'd give his sunglasses to, and be the kid you're like, oh God, imagine being the kid that Bret Hart gave his sunglasses to. So yeah.
Carl Lewis.
Ooh,
That's
yeah.
good.
Do you know what? I know he's an American sprinter, but he did the long jump as well.
Yeah.
His career was like 1984 in LA, broke in, won the 100 metres, won the long jump in there.
Yeah.
He's still performing in Atlanta in 1996, 9 gold medals, 1 silver in the Olympic Games. And for someone to do 2 events in the Olympic Games like he's done, nobody does that. No,
Yeah.
you know, you've seen it over recent years that sprinters can dominate the sprint events, but long jump and sprinting are 2 massively different events. So to see somebody control that era of sports and the way that he did it was unbelievable.
I was on Ben Johnson's side through that whole time, like I was, and I was.
You want mutant sportsmen though, don't you?
what?
You want people to just go for it.
I think
Take what you want.
Well, it's a level playing field.
For
If
me,
everyone
they're all-
used the same drugs, you sound, you really do get back to a level playing field.
For me, they're pretty much all drugs. In football as well, I'm sorry, but people are taking performance enhancing drugs in order to stay on the pitch, because that's endorsements, etc. They don't want to be out injured. The sport doesn't want people out injured. So it's all a part of a big conspiracy. Everyone knows about it. And I was just thinking, right, Carl Lewis, was he on drugs?
Don't know.
I
Hope not.
Once
It
he
ruins
was-
one of my sporting heroes.
Yeah, because he was, but obviously, isn't that the thing? Oh yeah, I've seen people in the UFC doing it. Oh, I hate drugs. I'm definitely not against drugs. Yeah, a few years later, getting popped. For
This is the
TRT,
problem with cycling and stuff now, though, as well, isn't it? You just can't trust anybody.
Exactly.
You know, all the stuff that's going up around Brailsford and Team Sky and all the British cycling, track cycling and all that. Like,
Exactly.
if anyone wins a Tour de France, I love them, because that is one of the most brutal and grueling things you can possibly go through, and I love cycling. I think it's an amazing sport, and it's a great spectacle on each individual day, but there's a trust element that's taken out when the sport has been tainted with drugs and stuff. So it's like, can you really hold these people up on a pedestal when you do have doubts about them? And that's the problem. And you know, sprinting and stuff like that, and Carl Lewis and Johnson, you have all those things as well.
But great answer. What's yours?
I'm really struggling. I agree with you. Mine are all football. I mean, I was going to say Muhammad Ali, but you make a very compelling argument about Devon Malcolm. There we go, Devon as well. Or Gladstone Small, maybe.
Gladstone Small is a legend.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. I once met Gladstone Small. I had a chat and I said to you, oh, mate, fucking when I was a kid, mate, I used to fucking love you. I actually had a picture of you on my wall. He went, fuck off, mate.
He did an after-dinner speech at like a cricket dinner with me once, and he said, obviously I was born without, you know, my neck essentially. He said, but don't worry, I made up for it in other areas.
Well, here's a question for you then, James. When you were a kid and you were playing different sports, who did you pretend to be?
Fat on a whitbread?
Shane Warne. Shane Warne.
Then he must have been a hero.
was
For me,
incredible.
for me, I used to play
And he was
tennis.
fat. I like fat sportsmen who show it doesn't. You don't really have to be that dedicated. You can still be great.
You like darts, don't you?
Yeah,
You love the darts. So when I played tennis, I used to walk around with my tongue out like this. Right? Because that's what Pete Sampras used to do in between points. Now, in my head, I played better because of that. And I used to do between every single point.
I do this
would walk around with my tongue out for no reason.
Bruce Grobble, I used to do it. It's just an affectation you pick. I think it's why teenage boys spit on the floor.
Yeah.
It's because they see footballers spit and they think it's a fucking thing to do. The only other one I mentioned actually is Scottie Pippen, who used to play for the Bulls.
33.
Because it wasn't Jordan. And he was in that team and he was amazing. And he was just that guy. And basically also because Jordan wasn't an NBA Jam. Because he was too big and I kind of didn't have his license. So having Scottie Pippen being the best player in the
nowadays though, I think Connor, having seen his rise and what he's like, we are essentially going through a Muhammad Ali type personality that's breaking grounds and he's quite an enigmatic and hypnotic figure. So yeah, I love a bit of Connor.
Good question, Billy Robson.
Yeah,
Mark Ellison. At Bullshit, does at James Alcott know what a Ketwig is? I don't.
Don't you?
It's kind of like a cross between
I'd imagine it's dirty.
what Matt had going on if he'd left it out and a mop.
Okay.
That's what I had.
Why do you think he's asking
It's a Scouse thing. So it's basically, all the Scallies in Liverpool. You know what a Scally is?
Yeah.
Okay. All the Scallies in Liverpool used to have skinheads. You know what a skinhead is? You shave your head. And then all of a sudden they got Ketwigs and now they just cover the face.
It was
with...
weird though because
it was like they all get together on a street corner with drugs and go, what are we going to do for this year's hairstyle?
But
it's the Ketwig.
Now
everyone's got fucking Ketwigs.
They talk about with animals and how like across like an entire species something can be learned. So you can teach it to a batch of monkeys on one island and monkeys of the same species on a different island will learn this skill set. And it's like what happened there. It was like they went from being all skinheads or crew cuts or whatever to they all had all this hair all of a sudden and it all came up at the same time. It was fucking weird.
Is the first part of it then ketamine?
It might well be. I'm not.
I think it is.
I have no idea, mate. I don't do
cool.
drugs.
Next question.
Turkeyfish at Turkeyfish. He said, okay. He's just showing me a Ketwig for those listening. Who do you guys think are the greatest players to never meet their potential? E.g. Van Basten and Owen.
Van Basten never saw his potential.
Come on, Holland 98.
Oh, he obviously had moments. I think he's saying the longevity of his career because he had to retire quite early.
Maybe.
I think he retired at 28. Adele Taarabt for me.
Sure.
He is one of the most
it.
talented players I've
He had 6
ever
great games.
seen. He had scored 20 and assisted 20 in this season. We went up, but yeah, there you go. He hasn't fulfilled his potential.
Anthony Latalik
What a
and
waste.
Florence Cinema Pongol.
No,
we promised so much. Oh, they promised so much and delivered so little. No, that's a very good question. That actually.
I've got one. I can't remember
probably
his damn name.
Ben Arthur.
Maybe.
What's the West Ham kid that's now in Italy?
Joe Cole.
No.
Morrison.
Oh, Ravel Morrison.
That's it. Ravel Morrison,
Here's
man.
one. Was it Man City?
Hang
Was it
on a
Michael
minute.
Johnson? What was his name?
Yeah, Michael Johnson.
Michael
Yeah.
There
Who
you
got
go.
injured.
Exploded, didn't
He
he?
was going to be the next Steven Gerrard, wasn't he?
That's right. Well, but Ravel
Ross Barkley will be one, by the way.
Ravel Morrison, mate. Simple as that. Like, he looked like Gaza, maybe with even a little bit more, can do everything. A lot of the freestyle type stuff that you see, he had that, like lots of tricks, carry a ball for days, amazing player, but obviously something not quite right because he doesn't seem to be able to apply himself.
His name Sonny. And he was like the keep you up champion when we were kids, and I think he signed for Ajax age 10, and he's his English kid. Someone listening will know.
Freddie Adu.
Yeah, I know.
Sonny
As well. As soon as he started saying, I was like, Freddie Adu.
There's a kid, Sonny something. He was his English kid, and he was like, he was in an advert for McDonald's or something doing keep you up or something like that, and he was like, oh, this is a kid that he can do tricks. Because now everyone can do a fucking round the way. You know what I mean?
But Freddie Adu was one of those as well. Like, he was gonna be.
But was he though?
Well,
like in real life?
Because
in Football Manager, he was.
Yeah, no, in real life he was
yeah.
supposed to be. In real life.
Do you know the story about him that he basically his family won the green card lottery to basically get American citizenship? The lottery. The lottery of the kid who went on to be the great American soccer happened to be able to get entry into the his family into the country. Like, yeah, definitely.
I'll tell you what though,
Cherno defo though.
The way now that we praise, you know, like Pogba for example, and how he ended up being a £90 million player, and obviously he's a great player. You know, you can see that. but it was them clips, wasn't it? Like what you see now, football on social, it's kind of, you'll see Pogba's strike or this great kind of goal, and therefore you're like, God, he must be amazing, and how did United let him go? And then next thing, he's a £90 million player, and he still can strike a ball like that and score an amazing goal like that and do something. But it is kind of social media and the way that we're consuming information about footballers now dictating, actually creating a false value and expectation of what they are. Like, you know, that kid at Celtic, the Dembele, and we've obviously seen a few, and because there's this hype about him, he's now worth billions. Do you know what I'm saying? But actually, if you sit and watch him for 90 minutes, he'll make a few mistakes like anybody else, because guess what? He's human. Do you know what I mean? He'll miscontrol it on occasion. He'll miss a chance. He won't hit the target. Like, but that's it, isn't it? There's almost like this whole, the way that the world is now and the way that we consume, it's kind of creating an unrealistic expectation about what actually is real, because no footballer's ever been mistake free. Maradona used to fuck up every now and again. Do you know what I mean? Pele did, like, and even Andy Booth missed the odd goal.
It's so unquantifiable that, and in a world of so much media, to make it a story, you've got to go younger and then younger and then younger again. So you're looking for a 13-year-old kid, not this 17-year-old kid who's been doing well for a while.
20-week-old embryo kicks really well in the fucking womb. You know what I mean? Signed by Barcelona's under 14.
What would you, what as a new father? What sport will you be getting your kid into?
So she is, without a shadow of a doubt, going to be fighting. So Ty,
that's where the money is.
So Ty was a she used to do ballet and dance. She's actually lived out and danced on Broadway for a little while, and she's very passionate about our daughter getting into dance. But I'm seeing her reach right now, and I'm seeing her movements like this. And I'm going to take her as soon as I can to do mixed martial arts. I don't know if I actually want her to be fighting, because obviously there's a whole thing, but I think that it's a really good thing for them to know, to be comfortable in situations. Because my mate Junior, who's got a daughter who's like 18, he said that, I remember him going through school. So I know Junior's daughter's 18, it's crazy. But I remember she'd be like 8 years old, and it's like young boys, when they like girls, they want to punch them or they bite them and stuff like that. And so he's just like, you want your daughter to be able to just take that hand off somebody, and if they need to
break
just kind of feel comfortable. But also it's the discipline, it's the focus. So yeah, that's what she'll be doing.
Me and Kat have had my wife, had a conversation about this, and we decided that MMA is one of those things as well that we're going to take Robin to do. And the reason was, and this is Kat's reasoning, not mine, is she says, I always wanted to do ballet, but I don't have the body for it. Robin's got my body. I think she'll be good at MMA. That's what my wife said, and I was like, brilliant. What she's actually going to be, when I've not told this, is a kicker in the NFL, because you've just got to kick it far. You've just got one job, you just got to kick it far. You can earn loads of dough doing that. Straight. You don't even have to be skillful, just kick it far and straight. Like.
See, I my opinion on all these things have changed only like 2 weeks ago. Darts. Get into the darts. By the time my kids are old enough to be properly,
here you go, 3 years old, have a dart, no problem. Boom.
Paul coming in like 2 glass eyes. Do you know what I mean?
Darts definitely isn't his bag.
Talking about the control. Think about the money that's in darts now. Imagine what the money's going to be like in 10 years' time. It's going to be fucking ridiculous.
What about YouTuber? Because let's face it, you
need tough skin
and how to pull it.
Now, I've had, actually, me and my wife have had this conversation, like, because again, my son's 4 and he watches a lot of YouTube, and he's got his own batch of YouTubers himself. There's a lot of kids opening toys and doing all this kind of thing. And I said, I'd love to do this. She's like, no, and this is actually a serious point, and it was actually one my mum makes. My mum is very much like, we call her basically she is a helicopter parent, as she likes to remind us. She likes to hover over and make sure things are okay at all times. A health and safety matron, we call it. But basically the problem is that she said that because we are now a public person to some degree, that it would be unsafe to put him in that environment, because if you know, you'd know his name and you'd know my name. And if you know, it would put him in an unsafe environment that, you know,
he becomes Jordi Cruyff.
Well, no, not that. But I mean, it just in the terms of, if someone wanted to go, someone could turn up at his school and would know enough information about this child, because a lot of these ones the parents are on them, so you don't know the parents.
If you just change his name, give him a different name, but do it in a different way.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, ultimately,
I think they were pretty settled on his name.
Yeah.
There's
a whole registry office.
All of a sudden, there's this kid YouTuber called Yordi. We're gonna know.
Yeah, exactly,
or Jordy rather.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah.
Good question. I like that. Was it actually their question? Or your question?
That was
Chris's question.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's definitely something in the
Fucking
MMA. I asked my missus once, do you know any self-defense? And she said, you just run around the car. I went, what? She went, yeah, if someone's attacking you, if you just keep running around the car, they'll never catch you. And you're fine. So I think actual lessons might be a bit better way.
Why did you settle on a car? Well, at least it wasn't a lamppost.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, last two.
That's good.
Chuck Givens, at Chuck Givens. Which current player would you most want to have a pint and chat with?
Well, let's just say I don't think there's many current players drinking pints, so it's gonna have to be a protein shake.
Right.
In which case, I'd have to just go for the Beast. No, I'd go for the Beast, just because he's cool, and I'm not sure I'd connect with that many footballers nowadays.
I had this thing because there was a list, a mental list for me of like people I wanted to interview, and if I was Liverpool's gone, we've done quite a few and what have you. It's not. I look at Liverpool's current squad as an example because I don't think there's many players in the gym, so I think, would I be that arsed? You know, like some of them seem quite nice. The thing with Henderson, and that was great. I think it's actually now I'm of an age now where it's more the managers. When Graham Taylor died this week, part of me was a bit.
He's nodded.
No, but part of me was a bit saddened by that because he was, a very, very good manager, very good. But obviously the England thing kind of stained his reputation with it. But I went to Anfield, covering a game, and he was there in the press room, and I thought I might just go and say hello. And it was that daft realization when he died. I was like, it's nothing. It doesn't. Graham Taylor has nothing. It means nothing to me. But I thought there's an opportunity for someone who really knows football, who it might have not been this mad charismatic figure, but I'll never get the chance to pick his brain on stuff like that. So I think about the managers now, and it's not, well, there's no current players that I'd be that asked about, but like Jürgen, all day long, I'd give anything for an hour in the company of Jürgen Klopp, over and he'd definitely have a pint. He'd have a fucking Stein, and he'd finish and he'd go, do you want another? You know what I mean? And he'd probably put it on his head when it was done and stuff like that. Like, but yeah, no, I think I'd go with that.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty much the same as Paul. I think I'd probably go Jürgen Klopp, but another one that I would like to sit down and have a chat with would be Jose Mourinho, because I would ask him questions about, is it all an act? What everyone says about you in the press and what you do, how do you do it, why do you do it, what does it work? And I don't think anyone's interviewed him like that, and I don't think they can until he hangs up his fucking shit coat or whatever, you know what I mean? Until he hangs that up, no one will know what Jose Mourinho, the manager, is actually like, and I'd like to know the true story behind it.
Well, it was interesting because Overlord Stu, mentioned like an Alex Ferguson thing, and he talked about like a tenuous connection, and I was like, if we ever got the opportunity, I would kill to interview Alex Ferguson. He was like, no, I wouldn't put you in a room with him. And I was like, I would love to do it from my perspective, because I've been so trained to hate that man through football and all that, and he was the architect of Liverpool's downfall as much as the club itself. I've done that, and I would be, again, I think that environment, to go at Alex Ferguson from not like a reverential oh Sir Alex and what a wonderful man, and what I'd love to be able to go, when you did that, and again similar to the Mourinho thing, he would be actually.
Did you mean to get that reaction out of your squad when you said that? How planned is everything? These are like the really interesting things to me.
I'll tell you actually who I would go for a pint with, who would be very interesting to chat to, would be John Terry.
But he's got some stories,
No, but because he's been someone that's kind of been hated, he's been someone that's had loads of controversy. It'd be kind of, what you ultimately end up now with is, you don't really know, it went so far that you don't really know what the truth is, who he actually is as a guy. I've met him once very briefly, and said hello to him, and he seemed kind of cool, but fucking anyone can in that meeting. But I think he'd be quite an interesting guy to actually get to know and to hear his side of some of these things, because in every story there's a few sides to it.
There's so many people you get behind it. Again, Steven Gerrard from the same sort of tone. I've spoken to him and I've interviewed him and stuff, and he has such a front that's constructed, and he's got, if you were to bump into him in a casual setting, you can't, because his minders were all around him, and I know they push people away, like basically get away from him, leave him alone. And I sensed that, and I know people who do know him-ish, and they've said that what a sense of humour, what a great guy. It would be, again, I like
breaking
that.
down the walls,
exactly.
isn't it?
I'd love to be able to have an honest conversation, an honest open conversation with, like,
Go on then.
Who was yours?
The list kept going on as you guys were talking, but I think,
Holloway.
without being boring, and the Holloway's the first one that came into my head.
It won't be a pint with him though, would it? It'd be a bunk up.
Would you ask him if he remembered you?
From that
That
one
moment.
I don't think I'd want to. Just in case.
I'd rather not. I'll tell you what. By the way, I once went to watch.
You got his number?
No, I don't. But I went to watch The Beast at Gillingham. Right, it was a pre-season game. We were doing something with him, some video, and they were playing against. Did he manage? Who was Pompey? Who did he manage? No, they'd got into got into the Prem Palace.
Palace,
yeah, and they were playing Palace. And basically half time happened, went off. He came out dead quick afterwards, right, and just spent the whole of half time pretty much in the stand with the Gillingham fans, just hanging out with all the kids, chatting to them, posing for pictures, and just literally talking to them in a way that was completely at their level, just having some of them had been cheating. He was just brilliant. And I was kind of stood there just thinking, like, fair play actually. I don't think there's many people that actually would go and just give his time like that. He seems very cool.
Talk, isn't he?
Yeah, very
I think
cool.
other two, Guardiola I think would be fascinating.
Yeah.
And I love Ray Wilkins as well. I'd love to sit there, and he likes a pint. So I think that'll be a good chat.
He'd open up.
Yeah. Last one. Bojan Konov. Worst player in the Premier League currently and of all time.
The worst player of all time's got to be Ali Dyer, hasn't it? The lad for Southampton that Graham Souness signed, and it on the recommendation of George Weah.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't George Weah.
And
Graham Matt Letizia, he said he thought that the guy won a competition or something to train with them, and then he turned up, brought him on as a sub, and then promptly subbed him back off again. He has to be the worst
that is the right
Premier League football player of all time. Currently, I don't think I know. It's sad because a lot of people actually call upon me for my football knowledge. Don't really know.
I think it's Charlie Maguire or Craig Maguire at Hull is horrific. He's awful. Lee Catamol has been bad for a long time.
I don't like this question, and I don't like this question.
And it's my podcast.
So I'm not answering it.
No, but one of them is, it's like, this is the thing, is that, like...
Listen, right,
I
hate that.
Footballers are people, right, essentially, you know, and they're not, it's not FIFA. So it's not like every time that player plays, his finishing is going to be 90 and his heading is going to be this and his pace is going to be that. They're human beings, right? And the environment around a human being is really important. Also the chemistry with the people around them. Some people are system players that can look amazing in a certain system or in a certain position but can be exposed in other scenarios. When you're a professional footballer, that's standard. You're good and you're good enough. But some managers are able to get the most out of people and get the system right, etc. And some aren't. I've seen people that have been at Huddersfield, right, and I've looked at it and been like, how Scott Arfield didn't have confidence, didn't want the ball. He went to Burnley, right, and I was like, why are they bloody signed him? And he's gone on and he's been an ever-present. They've been up. He's played a couple of years in the Premier League. He's scored goals for them. He looks like a world beater. And Scott Arfield made me see that actually it's not that guy. It's not just him. It's that the situation, circumstance that they're in.
I just tried to diffuse this by quickly googling who is the worst player in the Premier League on FIFA 17, and I couldn't find there wasn't an answer to that. They've got who's the worst player in totals, but unfortunately,
Matt's right. It's about how you play in that individual team, and right now, this minute, it's Claudio Bravo.
He's terrible. He is terrible. Terrible goal.
But I don't like that question.
I thought it was just.
Just thought it was a bit of fun.
Jose Basingwa as well. From a QPR perspective.
He was his first 3 months at Chelsea. He was amazing.
Sort of. That's it.
Right back that used to bomb forward. Okay. Well, thank you for listening / watching. If you subscribe to the podcast, you listen to this on audio. Make sure you go over actually and check us out in video form. We know a lot of people are very curious to see what Paul and
check out Matt's new haircut.
Actually look like. Check out my new haircut. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for participating. Thanks, James. He won't be on. He won't be on for a while now. Flav will be back, and we'll get back to normality. Okay. We'll be seeing James again. No, that's not true. Thanks, James, because it's amazing having you on, and these boys as well. See you at the far post.
See you at the far post.
So how we sign off? It's what we do.